Welcome to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. For over 10 years, giving you the best author reviews, features, and more with a surprise or two. All for you, the author. Now kick off your shoes and enjoy the show with your host, me, author H.D. Campbell. Welcome to an all-new Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. As always, I'm your host, H.D. Campbell. We've had an amazing season with so many viewers, new viewers to the Author's Corner. I told you, each season we had to have powerful interviews, so much going on. And I want to thank you, the viewers, you, the readers, you, the fans, for not only my show, but for every author that's been on here. Before we go into who our authors are for today, I want to start with a couple of specials we have coming up. I want to talk about the Sticky Situation special with Allison Grace and Jimerson Simmons. I talked to, Allison Grace and three other powerful authors to talk about their books, their writing, what they're doing with Sticky Situations. It is going to be an amazing special. The special runs for 2 weeks. 4 authors, you don't want to miss it. Next, we have a female Justice League, or, that's what I like to call it, or shall I say, we have 5 powerful female science fiction authors. They're talking about their book Slay. It's a vampire anthology. It is so wonderful. We talked about nerddom. We talked about writing fantasy, sci-fi, comic books, everything. And that's going to be later that month. It's going to be October 19th. So you don't want to miss that. Then I'm going to have a contest coming up for the end of the month where you can win Michelle Lindo Rice's books. In fact, you can read 2 of her books on Twitter. In fact, you can win those, and I'll give details later after the show this week. So, without further ado, again, I have another 2 amazing authors. First, we're going to talk to Lauren Jimerson, the author of They Came from the River. We're going to talk about fantasy. We're going to talk about what drives her characters. We're going to talk about her book. We're going to talk about so much going on with her. And we're also going to talk sequels. I'm always driving the authors to make sequels or, another installment of the book. Hey, my readers do me like that. I can just pass on the gift, I guess. So there's that. And then next, 50 Things Mama Said. sound like a lot of our lives, but no, it's a book by Dionne. Dionne talks about life lessons from her mother, how that ended up with her upbringing, her writing, her sons, everything. So we get a chance to talk to her and pick her brain. So when we come back, we're going to start the ball rolling with Lauren Jimerson.
Even after 20 years, readers are still captivated with How to Lose a Black Woman. Now, in its second printing, follow the story of Bruce Williams. Shall I say, mild-mannered school teacher in search of love? Using social media, prayer, and a lot of trial and error, Bruce fights to learn what a true relationship is all about. Filled with original poetry by H.D. Campbell, it's a lesson from one young man's point of view. Buy How to Lose a Black Woman on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, in your favorite bookstore, and even on his website at www.hdcampbell3.com. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. By Late Murder at 10 by H.D. Campbell. Former investigative reporter Mark Alexander thought his life hit a slump when a mass shooting results in the murder of a controversial news anchor. Can Mark get out of his head long enough to crack this case? Well, I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to get your own copy of Late Murder at 10 on Amazon.com and coming soon to your favorite bookstore.
Before we get into Lauren Jimerson's interview, I want to give a shout out to both Eddie D and Elliot Howard. First, Eddie D has the best-selling books out on hard drive now. Man, her book, The Awesome Times, its sales are going through the roof. The storyline is from the point of view of a school newspaper. People were saying, "Hey, I want to read the next book. Hey, she's been a good." And I'm so proud of that young lady. She's only 10 years old. And I'm also proud to be her publisher. So, shout out to Eddie D. I also want to shout out Elliot Howard. He basically just, man, his book sales of Take a Walk with Me is also awesome. I also want to talk about, this Saturday he did the author showcase and book tour with Quinny Clem. And I'm telling you, my authors are really taking off at Hard Drive. I got more authors coming in. I got more authors with books coming out. So stay tuned. Hard Drive is going to take over the market, people. This is not me bragging. This is something I'm working hard to do. In addition, I have a book or two coming out, so you never know. So, but without further ado, we're going to talk to Laura Jimerson. We're going to talk about fantasy. So, here it is. First, how long have you been writing?
Oh, I've been writing since I was about 8 years old.
Awesome. And what got you into writing?
I'm sorry?
What got you into writing?
What made me write?
Yeah, what influenced you to start writing?
Oh, I was just like a little kid with a lot of imagination. So my mom homeschooled me a little bit, me and my brother, and she had all these like books around the house, fantasy books, National Geographics, and I would just read them and I would just say, I could do it better. So I just started writing because of that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you're like a lot of us that just have like a lot of notebooks and you just start writing stories down
hmm
and yeah, I love notebooks,
Yeah, I buy a new notebook like the way I buy groceries. I just go out and buy notebooks.
Exactly. I still do, so don't feel bad. So I want to talk to you about the surreal ending. Let's get right into it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so the first book is called They Came from the River, and it's about a young lady who's a writer. She comes back to her hometown because she is commissioned to write a book about the city. But while she's there, she stumbles upon a murder mystery as well as this form of magic, this mysterious ancient form of magic that is like greatly disturbing her.
Cool. You actually have your two elements, mystery and a little bit of magic. So you got me a little bit there. So what was your inspiration for that book?
Oh, the inspiration, I started writing it in college, and it was just like a combination of things. It was a combination of certain things I was going through at the time. It started off as a dream I had that I was like, I couldn't not think about the dream. It was just that intense. And it also started off because my major is anthropology, theater, folklore. Like I was interested in all that stuff. I majored in it, I studied in it, and it just kind of worked all together to make one book.
Oh, see, I love that. I love that. So without telling me a little bit about the book, tell me
Huh.
the major conflict of the story.
Major conflicts of the story. Well, the main character, she's a bit of a she can be a little bit snobbish. So her biggest thing is that she's coming from, I won't say snobbish, but she's very cold appearing. And one of the things I really loved writing was for her to break her down emotionally to really get to like the root of who she is. So I kind of feel like the first book is a series. It's more about water, emotions, a lot of, releasing, letting go, understanding of yourself.
Awesome, awesome. And what made you want to write the book as the first of a series?
Why did I want to make it a series?
Yes.
Because I love epics. I love series. I like it when a story just isn't a story. You can go deeper into backstory. And I just love epics. It's just my thing.
See, this is where we have a little bit in common because I love writing series too. I sometimes I start off as a standalone, but then again I look at this like, wait a minute, I can expand this.
Exactly.
I love expanding things. Love expanding my
Hmm.
characters, my story. Love backstories. So
Oh, backstories are the best. Yeah.
exactly, especially when you can drag out a backstory
Yeah.
and then just leave little clues throughout different books.
Yeah, and that's what I've always envisioned it to be a series of books, maybe 3 or 4 books. That's what I've kind of planned it out as. At least that's 3 books. So, and like you said, it's about backstory, and then when you're writing the characters, you realize that so many scenes go into making a character. You're like, well, this is a standalone story itself. This needs to be included somewhere in the series, somewhere in the narrative. So that's why series to me are just better for some books. In some cases, since there's some books that I've been planning that are just kind of like standalone novels.
Awesome, awesome. So let me go back for just a second when I get back to the present. What made you decide from I love writing to I want to get my first book out? I mean, I want to actually do this kind of professionally.
Okay, well, it's a bit of a personal reason. The reason why I wrote the book, it was very personal for me. I just had a story, and I was going through some depression, anxiety issues, and I was so down on myself. But as I was writing the book, it was kind of cathartic. And as I kept writing it, and I kept, becoming better at the craft. It took me 5 years to really write it. I realized that people needed to hear this. People needed to read this. People needed to see a part of me that I probably never really showed anyone before. So that was kind of the push for me to just go ahead and just like, let's publish it. Let's do something big with it. Was I was trying to I was trying to come out of myself, or out of my own funk, by putting myself into a creative project.
You know, a lot of people don't realize this. Writing is therapy. And I tell people that all the time. If I'm feeling a certain type of way, if I start writing, I start feeling better. So I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
one out there, expressing one thing. And yeah, people a lot of times just don't get that. So I'm glad that someone is actually saying what I'm saying. You're feeling some type of way, you're writing, you're feeling much better.
Mm-hmm.
So so for my next question is, so now I'm going to go back to the present. So tell me, are you a character person, a plot person, or just a story person? Which one are you?
Ooh, I consider myself a character person first. And that is because as I was getting to know myself as a writer, like I said, it took me 5 years. When I was focused mostly on plot, I realized that I could not really move the plot alone until I really, really got to know my characters. And so then after a while, like the plot that I had planned took its own different life because I was thinking about what would the characters do in this situation? What if I put this character and make them make this decision? And after a while, it just seemed like they were their own people making their own decisions, and I was just writing it on paper.
You know, people don't believe me when I tell them. Grown people have imaginary friends too. Well, authors do. And those are your characters. You talk to your characters. You cultivate your characters. You treat your characters like they're real people. And I tell people all the time, yes, these are adult imaginary friends. But my question for you is, are you that type of person that your plot depends on the feelings of your characters?
Yeah, I will say that like there's certain plot points that I just have to have, but the way they evolve, it depends on how the character evolved.
And see,
So definitely.
yeah, to see, and as I tell people all the time, if I'm writing a particular scene, this is why I never outline my books. If I'm writing a particular scene and I have a character and I can feel that the character's not feeling that scene, I'll change the
Hmm.
entire scene around the character.
Oh, exactly. I've had like certain scenes like that just for the first book where I planned it in my head for one character, but as it evolved, I realized, well, this is not for that character. This character should feel that way. And then I might even change it to fit that character and still will all flow. So definitely, definitely, I go through that like a lot.
And I'm telling you, it's frustrating, but it works because if you don't do it, you're not going to feel good about the rest of the
You,
book. You might as well just
right,
not.
your work, right.
So, and this is what we tell. This is why I tell a lot of new writers, a lot of, and this is, you and I, as people who've actually published, We go through this with our characters. We argue with our characters.
I know I do.
It's like, you can't be serious. You really want me to do this? Okay.
Sometimes I'm up at night just talking to myself when I'm talking through my characters. And like my friends and family, they just be like, when I tell them that, or if they see me do it, I'm like, trust me, it's just a part of the process, a part of the creative process. I know what I'm doing.
It's
And I
like,
keep telling people it's a feeling. It's like a spirit is moving through you when you are really being creative. It's like you're touching these higher forms of yourself. Like it's a very spiritual thing, and how you act upon it is totally up to the individual.
so true. And it's like, leave me alone. I'm over here. I'm arguing. Yes, I'm arguing with imaginary people. We get
Mm-hmm.
my book together. Just leave me alone. I'll be good. I'll be okay with it. I'll get to you when I'm.
Right, I'll come back. I'll come back to Earth in a second. Just give me a second.
So now the book is out, and how have fans received the book so far?
Fans have really liked it. I'm really, really surprised and humbled and very grateful for how people has received received the book. I see that people kind of like that it is a fresh take on the fantasy novel. And I think what's kind of important to me was that I wanted it to be about a little black girl from Michigan, because that's who I am, Detroit specifically. And I really, really, really wanted to keep it true to the culture, but also adding different elements, um, different things that I've studied, different things I've come across, and still make it a real fantasy feeling magical novel.
Let's explore that for a second. There's not really a lot of fantasy novels about us, especially little black girls.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel that you actually are now starting to get, books like that out?
Oh, it is wonderful. Like it's wonderful because when I was growing up, like I was into like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and I felt like I was the only one. And so being able that wrote a book and I see people coming up to me saying, I'm like, like I was just like you, or this is how I felt. Like it's a wonderful experience and connect a bond with people in that way. And one of my good friends, like that's one of the things we talked about, just being little black girls from the hood who didn't really have that type of voice growing up, but now we do as adults, and now we're sharing it, and it is just one of the biggest blessings in the world to have that and to connect with people.
See, I love that because I tell people all the time, dare to be different, dare to write things different, and you've done it,
Mm-hmm.
which is one thing I truly love. So that is like cool. And then also too, again, well, because like you, I read the Lord of the Rings, read some Harry Potter. I mean, I'm into all that.
Mm-hmm.
so so pretty much so you've garnered a new fan in me as well. So there's a lot of us out there that love fantasy. We just need to write it and get it out there. How
Mm-hmm.
important is that for you?
It is extremely important to me, extremely, because there's so many things about the world that needs to be known and need to be expounded on, and different type of creativity and different type of things that you can that you can express in people, things that people might be hiding because they're afraid to be ostracized or whatever. And to express that, like for me, speaking from my own experience as a little black girl who loved fantasy and connecting with other little black kids, or now they're adults and we're still talking about that, like it's something there that just needs to just be cultivated and molded, and it can be big. So it's extremely important to me. I actually am an educator, so one of the things I always bring up, just in all my students, is that bringing out those things that you don't want to talk about, those things you may feel, that not everybody's into. You're kind of holding back, like talk about it, bring it up. But you don't know what you're starting. You don't know who you're help healing. By healing yourself, you're also healing others. So yeah, that's how important it is to me.
Yeah, I love that because it also inspire others. I don't know what it is about authors, but we love inspiring people. I mean, and you're a teacher, so you're a teacher and an author. You're always inspiring people. So they actually get the double blessing, and that is really cool. So my next question for you is, how does it feel, Your book is doing well. 'Cause I've been reading reviews. I've been reading a lot of reviews and things. Your book is doing well. How does it feel being a different book and a see different from what other African American authors write?
Can you say that again? It cut off.
How does it feel writing and being successful in a book, an African American book, opposite from the norm of African American books?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. It's a very niche market, very niche. So it has its struggles on trying to break into, I guess, I won't even say mainstream African American literature, but it does come with it does have its obstacles. Having said that, it actually is a lot of fun because, like I said before, it's about bringing awareness to fantasy African American literature that some people just probably didn't even know existed. But it is there. It's been there. It's been there for a while. But the more you write about it, and the more you put it out there, you open to people's minds and people's eyes up.
One thing about me, the one thing that my wife always says she loves about me is the fact that I'm a very diverse person. I can be watching. I'm into fantasy. I'm into dramas. I'm the type of person. I want to see a variety. I want to pick up this
Mm-hmm.
book, this person's book, and other person's book. I don't want to go to the bookstore and see the exact same book
Right.
over and over and over and over. Then I see yours, it's like, oh, okay. So you make a lot of people feel good when they know that there is more than the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So so you do have a lot of people out there that are reading your book just because of that. But do you also
Yeah.
know that you have a potential? Yeah, you also are crossing over into mainstream. Period. Not just African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
You're moving into mainstream. Period. How does that feel?
I mean, it feels great because I'm seeing more African American fantasy or just speculative fiction novels becoming more mainstream. And it changes the narrative. It says that we can do more than I won't say limit ourselves, but what we previously perceived that we could do. Like you're sending the message to children that you don't have to just stay in one boat, that there's so many different branches out there that can become mainstream, that can be consumed and related to by so many people of so many different cultures. So that is makes me feel pretty awesome. And I'm up for the challenge, whatever challenges it brings, I'm up for it.
Oh man, so that's pretty cool. Now I know we're in the middle of COVID, but have you done anything, any events or anything virtually or anything going on that we might want to know about?
Well, yes, not so much with events. However, I have been going to book clubs, really promoting my book on social media. People are reading it and sharing it. And actually, one of my friends, the one I mentioned earlier, she started a African American speculative fiction book subscription box. So I got my book in there, and it's really great to see people open up their subscription box and my book is there. So that's been probably the biggest thing I've done when it came to this book. And I just love her so much for even giving me the opportunity. So yeah, she's amazing. But one of the things I've been doing during COVID is writing the sequel. So that's been my biggest advertisement is writing the sequel. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been kind of hard.
Well, I'll tell you this. Actually, you just answered my next question I was going to ask. 'Cause I was
Oh,
going to say the bad news is the fans are very, very relentless. They want to ask, okay, now, where's the next book? But every book you write, and I swear to you for this, you say this is your first book. Every book that you write, you are now going to have fans that's going to, they'll come to your house. Hey, where's the book? Where's the next book? Come on, let's go. So how's that book coming?
this book is coming better now. So it takes me a while. I'm noticing with my process, it takes me a good 4 to 5 years to write a book because I want it to really reflect me, really reflect the characters. I'm a bit of a perfectionist in how I do things. I really got to get that gut feeling. But now that I think I'm a little bit more relaxed right now, and I've been this way for the past couple of months, I'm getting somewhere with it. And I'm honestly seeing my characters grow and expand in like ways I probably couldn't even imagine a year ago if I tried to really sit down and watch and write it, or even maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Awesome, awesome. So, how can we get to know you? How can we learn more about your books? Where can we buy your books? Where can we connect with you?
Okay, so you connect with me on Instagram at Lauren Jimerson, or you can connect with me on Facebook, Lauren Olivia Jimerson, Pinterest as well, Lauren Jimerson Writes, and you can buy my books on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
Awesome, 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 awesome. So, besides this book, do you have any more books in the future?
Oh yes, definitely. So besides finishing this series, I actually have a few more ideas that I've been writing down. I just haven't pretty much given the proper attention, but all of them mostly speculative fiction, magical realism. I think books that really, I think, reflect me now that I'm older as a writer, as really kind of reflecting what it is for me, the things I'm going through, how I've evolved just as a person, pretty much, the things I've experienced. And I've always have to have a touch of magic in it and mystery because that's just who I am. So there are a few other books in the works, yes.
Oh, that was beautiful. I'm glad you're staying with your genre. I love the genre to me, and it's like so freaking awesome. So here's the part of the show where I give you the final word. You can give shout outs, advice, whatever you want to say. The floor is yours.
I want to give a shout out to Samara Hill. She is the co-owner of this House Collective subscription box. So if you guys want a subscription box, please contact Samara Hill. She's on Facebook. She'll be happy to give you what you need. I want to give a shout out to my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my nieces, my boyfriend, and all my friends. And that's it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on to the show. Hold on.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
So when we come back, we're going to talk to Eve Dionne. Stay tuned.
Have you seen The Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell? It's the best show you're not watching. Every week we have authors, editors, artists, and others from various industries. There are 3 ways to watch Author's Corner. Primarily on our YouTube channel, HD Television, on our HD Television Facebook page, and on our media page at www.hdcampbellmedia.com. It's the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. Check it out weekly, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. And God bless you. Do you need editing and formatting services, promotion, or do you need a press kit? Let H.D. Campbell Productions put together a package to suit your needs. Let us handle your promotion, editing, press kits, photography service, and a lot more. We even do custom videos and videography. To learn more, log on to www.hdcampbell3.com or email us at hdcampbell3@msn.com for a free brochure. You can also contact us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. We guarantee professional services at reasonable prices. Check us out, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit.
50 things Mama said. Man, we're talking about my mother. She said like maybe 100 things. I mean, when you have good mothers in your life, they tell you a whole lot of things that you better not ignore. I mean, seriously. I mean, they're telling you out of the kindness of their heart, they're trying to tell you a hard head makes a soft you know what. But Eve Dionne has literally wrote the book on 50 Things Mama Said, and here she is to explain it.
So I am here today to promote my book, 50 Things Mama Said, how my mother's words transformed my life and how they can transform yours too.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, and looking over the book, thank you for sending it to me, by the way. I loved it. Really quick, what influenced that book?
It's funny because I was in the middle writing a different book when I felt led to stop writing that book to start writing the book 50 Things Mama Said. And it was just over a course of my life growing up with my siblings. My mother would have all of these sayings. And quite honestly, when I was little, I wasn't paying attention to them. I wasn't really thinking about the things that she was saying at the time. It wasn't until after my mother passed away in 2010 that I really started to realize how much her sayings were integrated into me and into my life. And ironically, a year before my mother passed away, my siblings and I, for her 75th birthday, we all took turns sharing with her 75 things that she used to say. And I took 50 of those things and wrote a book about it. And I didn't just write a book about it, but it's what she meant at the time and what I felt with my, evolved thinking as a mature, whole, healthy adult, how we can use it and it can be applicable to your life to help you to transform.
Right now I'm a parent, and even with teenage children, I still feel as if I stumble a lot, but I always lean towards what my mom used to say when I talk to them. Your book talks about a lot of different things as far as life lessons.
Yes.
Everything from jobs to just living, relationships. I mean everything. So my next question for you is, we're putting this book together. You've already told me what influences it, but now just tell me, how did you end up breaking everything down?
You know what? I didn't realize that the book would take me that long to write. It took me a year to write that book. And, with all the other things that I have going on in my life. And part of it was because A, it was my first book. And then secondly, I was putting too much thought. What inspired me to put the book together the way that I put it together was I wanted to make sure that this book had different elements in it that were applicable to everyday life situations. As you mentioned earlier, whether it be career, whether it be relationship, whether it be, things that you can tell your own children, whatever it was, I wanted to make sure that it vastly covered a broad area because, I found myself even in my 30s still trying to figure out things, and I'm like, oh my God, what would my mother have done in this situation? So I wanted to help a large group of people, and I really feel like, young adults would benefit from this book till, older adults. So I just wanted to make sure that it was broad and it covered a lot of areas, and I wanted to give in-depth information, not just, well, this is my opinion, but this is what you can do to help you. Everybody has, different ways of doing things, but to use it as a guidepost or a tool to help you in your journey.
The question for you is, you went from Little Rock, Arkansas to Detroit, Michigan. Did the advice evolve with the geography, or was it kind of the same, just modified?
Well, my mother was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, and she moved to Detroit before I was born. Mm-hmm. So she was.
But I guess what I'm saying is, did she ever tell you if the advice evolved from one geography to another, or?
Oh, actually, like the origins. I think that some of it definitely came from the South. I definitely feel that way. Because I've heard other mothers say some similar things that originated from the South. Everybody has their own spin on things, right? Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of it originated from the South, and then I think some of it just came out of her womb, just came out of her just being a mother and a wife with 6 children, to being a divorced single parent, I think a lot of it just came out of her. But I think a lot of the origins came from the South.
The reason I love this book, because I think I'm very big on mothers. Because mothers, they teach you a lot. They really, I'm big on fathers too, but mothers are sort of the roots. So that's why I'm sort of loving this book. Um, I'm going to dive into the book now. I guess I'll start throwing some examples out there. Um, I'm actually looking for, there's a passage in the book that I truly love that I've always tried to teach people that I'm actually doing now on Facebook as far as this is concerned. Even the devil can tell the truth sometimes. Now, now me personally, I understand that phrase, but please explain that phrase to us, to my viewers.
There is a scripture in the Bible where Jesus was, after he had fasted for like 40 days, the devil came to him and started to tempt him, saying, like, hey, I know you're hungry, and I'm paraphrasing, turn these stones into bread, right? Basically saying things to him that part of it was true, but the way that he was twisting it around, it wasn't all the way true. So, the devil knows the truth, right? So he may say things to you, and this is my own personal feelings. People say like the devil made me do it. Well, I don't believe that's true. I believe that people can be influenced by things that they hear. And I believe even that experience was him speaking into Jesus's ear in his mind. I don't think that he was like, this is my personal feeling. I don't think that he was like literally there in person, because he is a spirit and Jesus was in the flesh at the time. I believe that he was speaking to his mind, saying things to him and lacing things that were true into things that he knows Jesus wasn't going to do. So the devil will say things that appeal to you. That's what you believe, right? You can call it the devil, you can call it negativity, you can call it spirits, whatever you choose to believe. Some of the time that stuff may be true, whatever is being said to you, right? However, you have to make a choice and a decision what you're going to do based on the truth that is inside of you.
Okay. I've been sort of laughing with you for a second, but I want to get a little serious for a minute. One thing I love about the book is it talks about a lot of things that your mother would tell you about life, about your friends, about jobs, about relationships. What is the
Yeah.
biggest piece of advice you ever gotten, but that's in the book? That's in the book.
The biggest piece of advice,
More personal to you.
well, I'm going to tell you one thing that my mother used to say to me all the time that wasn't really positive, but it's in the book. You live in the streets, you're going to die in the streets.
Yes. Yes.
And it got to the point where she would, so she would say that to one of my siblings all the time. And unfortunately, my sister did die at a party. And we found out many, many years later that she had a heart attack. But, a few years after that, because I was only 12 when it happened, and I remember my mother used to always say that to her, and I'm like, oh my God, words are powerful, right? And so it got to the point where my mother would be saying that to me when I went through my rebellious phase, and I just said to her, I don't want you to ever say that to me again. Just don't say that to me again. And it was one of those things that she used to say a lot, and it really affected me. And it really made me think about what I was doing when I was hanging with friends, who I was hanging with. And it really made me self-aware in a sense about just what I was doing. Even in my rebellion as a teenager, I always had that in the back of my mind. It was like, I don't want to die, out here. And so that was one of the things that really, really affected me, that really helped me to shift the way I did things.
So my next question for you with that is, did you ever have any points to where you had to live a lot of the consequences your mother talked about before you started believing things she said?
100%. 100%. You know, unfortunately, as a child of divorce, there's things that kids go through, right? And, you feel abandoned, you feel hurt, you feel alone. And on top of that, I was like, it was six of us, but I was part of the youngest set and I was the middle child. So,
Oh, you were the Marshall Brady. I mean, the
oh,
Jan
oh my
Brady.
God.
You were the Jan Brady. That's what you were.
Oh, not only was I Jan Brady, when I was a teenager, my mother had two life insurance policies on me out of all of the children because, oh yeah, she felt like if anybody was gonna die, it was me.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Uh, so I didn't even know that till actually later in life. But the thing about it is that I was just fearless. I was fearless. There was nothing that I wouldn't try. There was nothing that I wouldn't do. And so my mother used to say this thing to me. She'd be like, "You leap and then look." And I'm like, that is not true. I don't leap and then look. You just don't see me contemplating the leap. So, yeah, I experienced a lot of the things that she said, and that's how I am able, and not all of it when I was a teenager, to be honest. I had my oldest son. I had him 2 weeks before I turned 18. So I started learning lessons very early in my life. A lot of it by trial and error. It wasn't until actually my late 30s, early 40s that I began to really think about what I was doing in my life, how I was showing up in the world, and who I wanted to show up as in the world. And I mean, it has taken years for me to get to a place where I feel like I have evolved enough to be able to help other people. But I struggled for a long time because I wasn't self-aware and I wasn't ready to do the work that needs to be done to be a whole healthy adult. Because a lot of times we want to stay in our stuff, right? We want to stay in our baggage. We want to continue to let ego rule our lives. And it's not until as some call the night of the dark souls, have your moment where you just break down and you're just like, I'm tired of the insanity. I'm tired of doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. And I just got to that point. And only after I was able to help myself was I able to help somebody else. And that's what is so amazing to me when people try to change other people, people who are controlling. And I often say, do you know how hard it is to change yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you trying to change somebody else?
Well, one thing I love about the book, you're actually going to be one of my first book reviews in coming weeks. One thing I love about the book is just the way you write it. You don't write it to where you need to do this. You don't make it preachy. You basically make it to where this is how I had to go through it. This is a suggested way. This is the way my mother taught me.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I did love about the book. So it's basically not your it's actually not a self-help book at all. It's basically more like a memoir to me.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I think it's the way that I think because I'm really cognizant of how can I say this? Judgments. I'm really aware of judgments, right? So I don't want to tell people you should do this and you should do that. The reason why it's a self-help book is because you have to help yourself.
I
You
agree.
have to do the work yourself. It's just like, if you believe in good and bad. And it took me a long time to get away from that thinking of good and bad to get to more of an existential thinking of different. You just do things differently, right? Instead of saying, I'll say right and wrong instead of good and bad. You'll just, how can I say that's wrong? Because if there's a number 6 in front of me and you're standing in front of me looking at me, it's going to look like a number 9 to you. So how can I say that it's wrong when you're looking at it from your perspective? So sometimes it's just perspective. So you're absolutely right. I didn't want to come off preachy. I didn't want to come off, you should do this, you should do that. It's more, here's some information. If you want it, it's at your disposal. But at the end of the day, I believe it was Nietzsche that says it's choice, not chance, that determines your destiny, right? So every day is about choices. We all make choices all day, every day. So I wanted it to be a tool guide, or a guidepost, as I said earlier, to let you make the decision of, as you said, I'm showing you some things that have worked for me. At the end of the day, use it if you want to. You don't want to, that's okay too.
I want to play devil's advocate for a minute. All right, the book is good, but I mean, Steve Harvey's book got me doing some different stuff. I mean, I got this person's book telling me to do some different stuff. What makes your book different from any of theirs?
That's a very good question, right? So at the end of the day, I remember I was at the Image Awards several years back, and Kerry Washington, I'm in California, by the way, so that's just a normal thing to do.
Oh, it's all good. I want to go.
I remember Kerry Washington giving her acceptance speech, and she was thanking all these other African-American actresses and other people that were in her category, and she said, there is enough space in the sky for all the stars to shine. So there's room for Steve Harvey, there's room for Iyanla Van Zant, there's room for Marshawn Evans-Daniels, there's room for Brene Brown, there's room for Lisa Nichols, there's room for Tyler Perry, whoever, right? And your tribe is your vibe. So the people that connect to me are going to be part of my tribe, whether it's 5 or 5 million. Whoever connects to it and gets it, those are the people that are my tribe. Well, those are the people that are going to be interested in what I have to say. Those are the people that are going to come back again and again to read the books that I write, because I'm writing from my perspective, and that is my superpower, because it's coming from me, and I'm my own individual, right? So that's it. Just I'm coming from an authentic place. I'm coming from, my perspective. And if you connect with it, that's great. And if not, that's okay too. I'm not for everybody.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. Yes, it's very okay, but I'm going to tell you this. I don't do this on my show normally, but I will suggest this. I read the book. I suggest you guys go out and read it too. But here's why you should read the book. This interview right now, if you're watching this interview, when you do watch this interview, you'll see that the person who wrote the book very much so believes it. You can tell in her voice, the way she's talking. She really believes in what she's writing because she lived it. So that's how I know people are going to love the book, because people believe in you because you believe in yourself.
Oh my God. And you know what? I have to be honest. I mean, it took a long time for me to get to this place. I don't know if you're familiar with the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith and her mom and her daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And she talked about how she didn't really get the revelation of who she was until she was 40, right? So we can get so enmeshed in relationships, in life, in our children, and whatever, that we forget about who ourselves and who we are as individuals and what makes us happy and what brings us joy. And so for me, it took me a long time to believe in me because of a lot of trauma that I dealt with, you know, as a young person, a lot of things that I dealt with in my life. My oldest son's father was killed a week after he was born. 2 years after that, I was out of town with a boyfriend at the time, and he was killed in a car accident while we were out of town together. My father died, you know, when I was 25. In 2009, my mother's twin sister died from colon cancer. In 2010, my mother died. In 2012, my mother's oldest sister died. In 2013, my oldest sister died. And of course, I lost a sister in 1994. So I've had so much trauma in my life. I've experienced so much in my life. To be able to be a high school dropout that, you know, was a single parent to now working on my second master's degree. My first MBA is in management with emphasis in organizational development. I'm a senior consultant at one of the largest health plans in the country. I'm currently working on my MFT, which is my master's in marriage and family therapy. And I have an analytical certification from Cornell University. I'm a certified and licensed life coach. And so anything is possible. It doesn't matter what you've been through, because a lot of things are designed to see what you're made of. And there's been many times that I'm like, God, I need you to spread your hustle. You've given me enough. Thank you very much. I don't have any more tears. But it's not so much as looking at, oh my God, this is happening to me, this is happening to me. But you look at what is happening for you, right? Because diamonds are not formed without pressure. They have to be pressurized in order to get the brilliance. And we have to go through things in order to come out as resilient, as order to come out as healthy, right? So I haven't even scratched the surface with the things that I've experienced. I had a heart attack at 28 years old. I was a national spokesperson for the American Heart Association back in 2017, and I did commercials, ads, all of that. I never wanted to be the poster child for heart disease or anything like that, but things happened for me. Because of that opportunity, it gave me a platform. Because it gave me a platform, other doors started opening for me. You see how that goes? So God, the universe, whatever you believe, it wants you to be successful, to prosper, to be able to navigate through life. And once you get to a certain mindset, you can just begin to vision the life that you want for yourself. And I know that I'm going way beyond the book. That's actually in another book. But the things that I've written are just like rudimentary for you to just be able to grab hold to and to support you with whatever else you believe, whatever else. This book is not denominational. I talk about the Bible. I talk about quotes. I talk about a lot of different things, right? But it is more inspirational and motivational to help any and everybody who is looking to transform in their lives.
Well, that's why I said earlier, the book isn't your typical self-help book. You can actually learn something from the book. But before my next question, I'm going to ask, how has this resonated with your children?
I have two sons. Caleb is my youngest son. He's 24. Maurice is my oldest son. He's 30. And presently, my two sons both have nonprofit organizations. My youngest son's organization, which he's going to kill me because It's called No More Names. And then my oldest son's, I think it's Overground. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll tell you what they do. My youngest son, he is an activist. He is an activist for human rights, trans rights, gay rights, human rights. And so he is very much out there putting his money, his time, where his mouth is, and having meetings with community leaders in order to help promote systemic change in our communities. My oldest son, he's out just last week, passed out 300 water bottles to the homeless in Skid Row in downtown LA. And so how it has affected them is the things that I've taught them all of their lives, to leave this world better than how they found it, and to add value to this world. And I've always told them that a man that does not plan plans to fail. So I don't care what your gifts and your talents is. My youngest one is a very accomplished singer. They both have music on iTunes. My oldest son is a rapper. I always tell them, do what you gotta do so you can do what you wanna do. So I don't care if that's stocks, I don't care if that's working a job, whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself stability, and then you can start branching off and doing all these things that you want to do. So I think that the book, and just in general, how they were raised, has affected them just to be better human beings, and I'm extremely proud of them.
You know, you should actually not change the name, but subtitle it to from 50 Things Mama Said to 50 Things Mama Said, No Excuses. Because you guys are living your life with no excuses. I
Well,
can't
I have
come up
another book that's coming out. I don't want to say the name yet, but it's in that vein about no excuses, because there's no, I'll say this, there's no medicine that you can take that'll just make everything great. You know, there's a huge plastic surgery industry, right? Cosmetic surgery, because people are like, oh, okay, I'll just get the fat sucked out and just be on my way. You know, everybody is there for the commencement or the coronation, but you don't see the healing that happens. You don't see people, you know, wearing plugs to drain blood and fluid. Like, you don't see all the things that happen along the way to get the end result. You just see them doing it, and you see the picture of them 6 or 7 weeks later looking snatched. But you have no idea about the gestation period that they had to go through to get to look like that, and what it takes to maintain it. So yeah, there is no excuses. At the end of the day, you have to do things that are going to be sustainable, because there's a lot of people out here that's getting plastic surgery. Some I've known over the years, and 2 years later, they look exactly the way they started. And sometimes it's just better off to just change your lifestyle, right? Change what you eat, change how you think, change how you behave. And once you do that, your whole body, your mind, your spirit, everything will evolve.
You know, I think the biggest thing out of all of what you said is change your way of thinking. Once you change your way of thinking, everything else will fall into place.
That's absolutely correct. I am a very big believer in the power of intention and manifesting. And that all comes from your mind. Your mind. Your mind, a lot of times, you are thinking thoughts that are not even your thoughts. Every thought that you think is not from you. So, yeah, real change happens here in your mind before it manifests, right? And that's why people say, like, you know, be careful what you think, because thoughts become things. You know, if you continue to just think about something over and over and over again, eventually that's going to become your reality. And that works the same way when you're trying to manifest greatness. If you vision certain things in your life and you focus on that and you start doing things to help you in that vein, that will become reality.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. So, how can we get to know you? How can we buy our books? Do you have a website where you can help us? Please, somebody, help me out.
Absolutely. My website is www.evedionne.com. That's EVEDIONNE.com. And on my website, you can book me virtually. And when outside opens all the way up, I will come in person. You can certainly buy my book from Amazon.com, or you can buy my book from the shop page on my website. And if you buy the book from the shop page on my website, I will sign it, I will autograph it for you. But if you buy it through Amazon, they will send it directly to you. So you have an option there. I will also have other merchandise on there. I had t-shirts on there as well. But during the pandemic, the one distributor that I was working with, they were like 35, 45 days behind. So I still have the t-shirts. They've just been hidden. I'm going to open them back up in the next, maybe this weekend, possibly. And also on my website, there's blogs. There is a blog, rather, where you'll see motivational quotes and sayings, and you can book me, you can contact me, all of that. So on Instagram, it's Coach E Dionne, and Facebook, it's Coach E Dionne, or at Coach E Dionne, at both of them.
Awesome.
And you can also book me. I don't want to say book me. We can have a consultation if you're looking for a life coach. I don't call myself a life coach. I call myself a transformational coach, because at the end of the day, what I'm hoping for you is that you transform in the way that you're thinking and the way that you're being. So you can also do that on my website.
I don't know what you call yourself doing, but I feel good. This whole interview just feels good. I don't know why. And I'm very serious about that. I really enjoyed talking to you. Everything is, I just enjoy talking to you. Let's put it like that. So my final question is, I always give you the final word. If you want to give shout outs, if you want to give advice, whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
You know, I often think about this when I'm interviewed as far as giving a final word. And, we just realized with the death of Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, that life is not promised to us. And, I can have this interview and that be it, because, we all have that one appointment that we can't reschedule. So I always try to live my life in such a way that there's never things that are unsaid and without regrets. And so if I would give final words, it would be to live your best life. Now, what does that look like? Living your best life is making a conscious decision and effort to be a whole, healthy adult, whatever that looks like to you. If you know that you have problems managing your emotions, get help, get support to help you, because when you have unruly emotions, you will not be effective in business, you will not be effective in relationships, you will not be effective in parenting. Do what you need to do to be able to deal with that. If you know you're very reactionary, get professional help to help you to understand why you are living your life in such a way that you're operating in fear. So do everything that you can to live your best life, and give people their roses while they're able to smell them.
Now I told y'all not to take my word for it, man. I told you. I mean, now that she's a mother herself, with with highly charitable sons. I mean, the generations are just coming. I mean, generations are just building up to where we're going to have, man, this is going to be a whole new country in another 20, 30 years if we keep going this route. So shout out to Eve Dionne and her mom. So when we come back, I'm not going to do a 2 cents. I'm going to actually give you a preview of both of my specials. So stay tuned.
Coming soon, the second printing of the Sergeant Wise Guy Chronicles, reintroducing you to a special agent, Sergeant Wise Guy, the government's top strategics and agent with a very sarcastic tongue. A former Ranger, he heads up a team of specialists taking care of missions too big or too messy or other agents don't want to handle. His first mission takes him to Paris, where a stolen Cold War nuclear warhead was discovered. While discovering the warhead's origin, a lost dead love resurfaces. Can Sergeant Wise Guy resolve both before the secret plans for the warhead is complete? Well, check out the second printing of the Sergeant Wise Guy Chronicles, coming soon. Do you need editing and formatting services, promotion, or do you need a press kit? Let H.D. Campbell Productions put together a package to suit your needs. Let us handle your promotion, editing, press kits, photography service, and a lot more. We even do custom videos and videography. To learn more, log on to www.hdcampbell3.com or email us at hdcampbell3@msn.com for a free brochure. You can also contact us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. We guarantee professional services at reasonable prices. Check us out, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit.
Here's what I got going on the next 3 weeks of the Author's Corner. This October is the Author's Corner's biggest special ever. In conjunction with Sticky Situations and founders Julia Press Simmons and Allison Grace, we'll be doing a 2-week special with 4 amazing authors, powerful storytellers talking about their craft, and more. October 5th is the date. HD Television is the channel. Stay tuned as we talk to Allison Grace, Sandra McCall, Shabor, and Forever Red, coming together for one big special. News, updates, and more from Sticky Situations with a surprise or two. It's the Sticky Situations special with Julia Press Simmons and Allison Grace, October 5th on the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell on HD Television. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit, and God bless. October 19th is an all-new Author's Corner Science Fiction Special, Girl Power Edition. Yes, ladies can be nerds too, and these ladies have come together to talk about the noir vampire anthology, Slay. Then we talk about writing, science fiction, fantasy, and so much more in between. 5 ladies I call the Female Justice League. Join us, we talk to Penelope Flynn, Alicia McCullough, Michelle Tracy Berger, Samantha Bryant, and all brought together by Nicole Gibbons Curtis in a fun chat. October 19th is an all-new Author's Corner Science Fiction edition with the authors of the vampire anthology Slay, right here on HD Television. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit, and God bless. There's the Author's Corner. Stay tuned for contest details for November. Stay tuned for promos for these next 2 weeks of shows. Stay tuned tomorrow for a great interview I just did with Lula Carter on Mexico. Mexico has opened its borders, so you can at least travel there and read the interview on my media page at www.atcampbellmedia.com. She'll show you the amenities it has. So much is going on. And with social distancing and a lot of people not traveling, you can actually get yourself a good deal and not have to deal with a lot of crowds. So stay tuned for that. So stay tuned next week for when we do the Sticky Situation special. Peace. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit and God bless. Got a lot to do, but I's tired.